I am here again with a guest of ours who I have interviewed twice before. But today we are celebrating the day of his death and resurrection. Life can be a crazy journey. Let's unpack it together. I did great at avoiding COVID this whole pandemic, but we let our guard down to attend an awesome show in San Francisco called The Empire Strips Back. I highly encourage you going, but wear your masks because the latest variants are extremely contagious. We were vaccinated, so I didn't get too sick, but I did get sick for a couple of weeks, and then I had brain fog and fatigue, and it took me a while to get back to the podcast. And honestly, it would have taken me a little bit longer, but today was an important day. I am here again with a guest of ours who I have interviewed twice before. We are celebrating the day of his death and resurrection. So welcome again, Johnny Corn. We are so happy to have you back.
It's a pleasure to be anywhere right now. The whole death thing, I'm like, I'm not good at it.
You failed. We're glad.
Not more than I am. that's that's the honest God truth.
Yeah, for those of you who are listening, Johnny's in his living room, and I'm in my bedroom studio. And Johnny has a furry friend who, when we were getting everything set up, he mistakenly knocked off the back of his couch.
Well, if she jumps on my lap, which I expect.
And her name is
Gumby, because I'm like really big into claymation. Does Gumby still exist? I mean, like, does the character still exist?
I don't know.
Because and I'll say this: I'm a big fan of comedy. I study comedy, and but Robin Williams. I was at Cobb's Comedy Club. I know, last name Corn. Cobb's. Let's get that out of the way. How do I say this? Robin was known for just kind of showing up to shows. And either he would support the comedy community because where he came from, or he would do a set. Well, either way. I mean, it was one or the other. And so I was in the middle of doing a set, and I look over to, because at Cobb's, there's only one way to come on and off the stage. You know, like a lot of places have stage left, stage right. You don't have that at Cobb's. It's on and off the same direction. So I look over and I go like, God, that guy would be a really... I'm in the middle of my set, and I look over and I go like, God, he would be a great Robin Williams impersonator. He looks just like him. And so I'm doing my set. And I finish, and I'm coming off, and Robin says to me, I didn't know it was him yet, but he says to me, great set, great set. You know, you're funny, great set. I exit. And then the person that was the MC comes up and says, we have a great treat for you guys. Ladies and gentlemen, we have Robin Williams. And I turn around and go like, huh? And it wasn't an impersonation. Oh, I'm sorry, honey. My cat, I just... Okay, so I turn and I go like, okay, well, that's Robin Williams. What the hell? Did I just hear that? Calm down. Okay, and so I have a cat going behind me right now who is a little bit upset. She can't be too upset. She's going to sit in my lap. Come here. No, sit. Come here. So this is what happens when you have a pet. And so fast forward a little bit because I don't know when she's going to sit in my lap. I'm at a place called Emma's Coffee Shop, and I don't think it still exists, but it existed at that time. And so I go. It's in San Francisco, and so here I am. I'm in line, and I hear this guy say "corn," and I turn around and it's Robin Williams.
Oh my goodness.
And so he goes, my cat took off.
Oh,
And that's what he said. My cat took off. No, what
yeah, that's
he
what he
actually
said.
said was, yeah. So he said was, what are you up to? And I'm like, well, I've actually found parking. And to keep in mind, this is San Francisco, so I keep
Right.
all the time in the world to find parking. But I found parking, and I'm waiting for time for my comedy show. And he goes like, well, why don't we? Are you with anyone? No. Well, why don't we have coffee? And so he picked up the tab, which was fantastic.
Wow.
But I mean, come on, it's a coffee flavored coffee. So he's out for what, $2?
Right.
And so we had coffee together, and we did that, and then and then eventually I was like, I gotta go, because like the show is gonna start, and I need to get going. But we had a good 45-minute conversation.
Wow. That's crazy.
So it's not much of a story, but it's a true story.
Well,
But that's the
it's
sort of
better
guy he
than
was.
I've done.
And then the Bob Saget is a real simple story. I got called into the improv because the person called in with the flu that was going to be the opener, and so
Hmm.
they said like, "You're going to be, can you do it?" And I'm like, "Yeah, okay, I'll do it." So I go, and looks like I have a belly, which I don't. So anyway, I keep looking at the. Have you ever looked at yourself in the? Have you ever looked at yourself like on the computer screen and just kind of stared at yourself and going like, "Hey, baby." Anyway,
Usually I look and I go, man, what's going on? This is weird. Okay.
I
If you
looked
see me messing
I
with my
looked
hair, I'm like,
like
okay, that's weird.
I looked like I had a belly, and I'm going like, I don't. I'm like 150 pounds. How? Anyway, so what happened was I ended up going to the improv and did it, and it was Bob Saget.
Hmm.
I was opening for Bob Saget. I didn't know this because I was called in, like, can you come in? And I came in, and I didn't know anything about any of this stuff.
Uh-huh.
And he had his sparkling water, and he was very polite. And then we go over to Chacho's. I don't know if you know where that is. Chacho's is around the corner. And I
Nope.
had a little bit too much to drink.
Oh.
He didn't have anything to drink that I didn't see him drink. I don't know if he did. I didn't see him drinking anything.
Right.
And he called me a lift because he thought I had too much to drink to drive home safely.
Well, that was nice of him.
Yeah. So I picked up my car the next day. It cost me way too much in parking fees, but I picked up the car. But that's my Bob Saget story. It's not much of a story. It's kind of sad,
Well,
but
I guess what's kind of sad is that both of those people that you just told stories about are no longer with us. And
yeah.
you
And
are,
I had a
though.
really hard time with, well, and that's by chance, really. I mean, like everything had to go right.
Right after we recorded our very first interview was when Johnny had his near death experience, and
I'd prefer not
and
to have
I
had
didn't
that.
know. Yeah, we would prefer that too. Johnny and I didn't meet because of his comedy, although that's mainly what he does. We met because of the bubble business. Um, because we shared briefly, I was a bubbleologist, and Johnny was and now is a bubbleologist again. And please explain what a bubbleologist does.
Okay, so I've been doing this for what, 7 years, maybe ish. But what it is back in the day, we used to do like bubble assemblies, like at schools, was what I mostly did, and that was bubbles through science, like convex, concave, evaporation, path of least resistance, that sort of thing. But we also did bubble shows for children. I don't know, 5-year-old
Birthday
seems to be like
parties.
the medium age, But it well, I did an 8 and 9-year-old too, but it ranged the gambit, and so I would put kids in bubbles, or in this case, a elderly adult. Um, and so we used to do that. I actually put a 49er in a bubble. That was interesting. And being that I'm not into
I
football,
put a poodle in a bubble.
did they hold on to
Like someone holding him?
Yeah.
No, I put the dog in the box, and they wanted me to put the dog in a bubble, and I was so cool because the bubble flipped. Sometimes how that happens.
Yeah,
And it created a bubble dome.
Yes.
For just a moment, there was a
Yes.
bubble dome. It was-
Okay.
Yeah.
People are not going to get this at all, but
It was
it's,
super cool. It involves a
it-
kiddie pool. Yeah, there's a kiddie pool
it's
and
a
a hula
thing.
hoop.
And I will say this: when I died, when I woke up, and that was like 3 days later, I knew I had a bubble show. I didn't know what day it was, so Donna and I talked over the phone because it's height of COVID, and so we couldn't see each other. And so
Right.
she contacts me, and I right after I wake up, I don't know how that happened because my memory's not all that great. But first thing I said is, I have some bubble shows coming up. Contact blah blah blah, and
Yeah.
I was about to say Joseph. Oop,
Can't you say Joseph? Are you allowed to say?
I wasn't gonna give his name out.
You mean it wasn't Aiden?
No, Aiden was doing comedy at the time, from what I remember.
He was my bubble master.
Well, he was mine too. I mean, but I knew Aiden from before. Well, okay, so here's the thing with Aiden.
I'm just name dropping because I interviewed Aiden too on the podcast.
Aiden and I go way back. He used to be a comedian in San Francisco. His parents live in San Francisco. Actually, he moved to Los Angeles. More power to him.
Yeah, he's down there now.
But I knew him for ages. Oh my God, he's like the greatest. And if you ever see Aiden Park of 233 Pinewood Avenue, I have no clue what his address is. I'm just making that up.
Yeah, Aiden released a book recently. That's
Yes,
why he's on my
and
podcast.
he
The
did a
Art of
play.
Being Yay. Yes.
He did a play. I am so, let me say this. I'm so proud of him. Like, he's a really good friend, and I'm really, really proud of him. And I gushed. Want to know something else? Imagine my surprise when I on CBS, and he's on Let's Make a
Really?
Deal. Yeah, he was on Let's Make a Deal. I'm like, oh my God, that's Aiden, that's Aiden, that's
didn't know
Aiden.
that.
And so I geeked the frick out. And but Donna's doing the same thing. Donna's doing the same thing. She's going like, oh, Donna's my wife, by the way, and she's going like, hey, this Aiden, this Aiden, this Aiden, this Aiden. And so I went and I texted him, were you on Make a Deal? Yes. Why? So I'm like, so I wrote like, you're on right now. And he was like, I just couldn't talk about it before it happened. And
That's how it is a lot. For those of you who don't know, like the movie and showbiz, a lot of times they don't let you say stuff.
at all, or you lose your prize. If you're on a game show,
Yeah.
from what I understand, I have not been on a game show.
Uh-huh.
My aunt was.
Yeah.
Price is Right. But if you're on in the 80s, she won an escort. I mean, sorry, a Ford Escort. Let's make that clear. um,
Like what?
she
What is this perverted game show I've never heard of?
So, for those that don't remember, before the Ford Focus was the Ford Escort. I'm just saying that. I mean,
That's crazy.
a car. She won a car, to be clear.
Right.
Have I done this bit to death?
Back to your so we met in the bubble business.
Yeah, and
that's
we're at.
what you were most worried about when you didn't die.
No, second thing. First thing was
Oh,
having a pulse. That was kind of important to me. And then
yeah.
after having a pulse, I thought, well, you know what I'm going to do? Um, forget about the movies, forget about doing a comedy tour, forget about all of that stuff. What I really wanted was to do Bubbles again because I love children so much that I just wanted to do Bubbles again
Hmm.
because it gives me joy. And I thought before my 2 year death date, death anniversary, I want to make sure that I do a bubble show. And two Bubble Manias. I mean, can we say the name
I think so. We're
of the company?
advertising them. Bubble Mania is awesome. Yeah,
Okay,
why not?
so there's a company called Bubble Mania. They're fantastic. I suggest
Yeah.
asking for me. But
Ask for Johnny.
yeah, John Corn or Johnny Corn or Jonathan Prometheus Corn.
Tell
Anyway,
him Esperanza
so
sent you.
it's all mess. Yeah, let's just like make this whole thing a loop. No, but what happened was Jonathan Prometheus Corn, the third Esquire. Anyway, I'm not even a lawyer, so I don't know where that comes from. Anyway, but a major goal of mine, and what I was told I would never do a bubble show again. I was told that if I walk again, I would walk funny, um, and not in a good way.
But you're a comedian, so isn't that a plus?
Walk this way. Ah, ah, ah. Anyway, that's like an old vaudeville joke. Walk. Anyway, I'm
Monty
definitely
Python?
no way before. Oh, speaking of which,
Remember? The School of the Silly Walkers or
no,
whatever
no, no,
it
no,
was?
no, no. Okay, true story. I inherited two boys, and this is true. I inherited two
Uh-huh.
boys after their mom passed away. Uh, Something I don't really talk about much. There's the older one,
Hmm.
and Donna. Sorry, I call her Dawn. Donna's in front of us walking like this, right? And the older brother's walking like this, with the like, oh, we're not seeing this. This is nothing happening. And and
He's
the
holding up blinders.
yes, the younger one and I were in Santana Row, which if people don't know what it is, it's like the Rodeo Drive of San Jose. And so we're walking down, and we're both doing the Ministry of Silly Walks, and we're both doing like with the hike, and so we're doing this down the entire stretch. But we did that. That actually was, and actually
You did the silly walk.
with him we were two it in tandem. We were doing it together, and the looks we got were like, "What the hell are they?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'm a Monte Pie." I got him into it. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah,
Just how
you can't leave behind the Monty Python. That's classic, man. That's classic.
well, no, and the thing is that like I miss him being. I told him this yesterday. I forbid you from growing up, and you did it anyway. How dare you? But that's how I feel.
I think that's how all who have parented feel. Mine are all grown up now too.
Yeah, you know.
It means you
Uh,
did your job right.
well, I mean, here's the weird part. I pitched um, a comedian inheriting a 5 and 10 year old out of the blue, and they
Uh
said
huh.
it's been done already. Bernie Mac. I'm like, damn you, Bernie
I'm
Mac.
not
All right.
familiar with that one.
Well, both of us had similar life experiences, which is weird, but it's true. Um,
Except for the death part, I assume.
well, I mean, he died permanently, unfortunately. May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
Can I tell you all the times I died? I
You mean
kid.
besides this last
Oh, I
time?
died one time before this, yeah.
Oh wow.
I was 8. I was in a supermarket and I collapsed. and I had a tracheotomy.
Huh.
There's a scar right here. If you can see that, you probably can't.
Oh, wow.
So
How did that happen?
well, I had pneumonia evidently, and I didn't know it. And the trachea tube swelled shut. Uh, and
Oh,
then,
geez.
but I didn't die again from 1977 to 2020. So, I mean, that's a pretty good run of not dying. Um,
Well, let's hope you get another 40 or 50 years before it happens again.
oh, at that point, I'm ready. Fine. But so what happened was the real story. The real story. I was driving down the street, and I started thinking to myself, I don't feel so good. Followed by, uh-oh, I'm in trouble. And that's the honest to God thought in my brain. Then my eyesight went out, and I'm like, I'm going to kill someone.
Yikes.
So what I did was there's a parking lot that I knew was off to the right. And I knew that there's no parking on that area. So, I mean, I had a relatively good chance of making it into the parking lot. So I turned the steering wheel, and I head in. I had no eyesight. I guess I somewhat passed out. And I hit a pole. Totaled the car. Ruby, rest in peace. Great car. Great car, by the way. Mazda, 200,000 miles on it. And I had a bet going on how long that sucker was going to go. I lost the bet. Anyway, so I hit the pole, and there are these two teenagers, and unfortunately they don't want to be identified, which is fine.
But we're grateful. Teenagers whose names we will not name.
Um, one starts with a J, and I'm not going to say the other one. I hit a pole. They actually called 911 right away. They called 911. From what I understand, there was a portable restaurant. What they call those now? We used to call them roach coaches. They're there.
Yeah, food truck. Yeah.
Food truck. That's it. If they're getting a burrito and they saw me, I don't know what they're getting. But it was a Mexican food truck. So I assume they're either getting
You
that
didn't
or
know their
taco.
order.
I don't know their order.
Yeah.
Mexican Coke is the best, let me tell you. Anyway, so they call 911. I don't remember any of this. I'm told this. So keep in mind, when I tell the story, I'm telling it from the third person because I was there. But
So from the time your lights went out, your personal lights went out, you lost, was it 3 days?
3 days, yeah. And I woke up on the third day in fulfillment of the scriptures. Anyway, I'm going to stop with the Catholic stuff. I woke up, and the first thing I thought of is the weirdest feeling because I couldn't move. I couldn't talk. I was awake, but my body couldn't move. And so we had that for a little bit. I thought I was in a spaceship, and because you got to understand, we had all these LED lights. We had the nurses and such in the ICU with all this stuff on, and I thought to myself, I'm in a spaceship. I'm okay with this.
Yeah, because of the COVID,
Oh God, they had everything on. The one thing I was told is I remember asking, did you take a COVID test? And they said yes. Do I have COVID? And they said no, because you'd be over there. And so that's how I knew I didn't have COVID.
So once you figured out you were in the hospital, you're like, do I have COVID? No, you don't have COVID.
Yeah, she goes like, Maria, because she's a regular nurse of mine, so I kind of knew her. I remember her clearly. And so she's like, no, you don't have COVID, honey, because you'd be over there. And I'm like,
so were they dressed like the E.T. decontamination suit situation?
I don't really quite remember clearly. I do remember they had the face mask on. They had a mask underneath that. They had all this stuff on underneath. And so I sincerely thought they were aliens. But I was on the good stuff, so I mean, like, and
At least they were nice aliens. They doped you up good.
oh My God, I would pay for that stuff. Anyway, it kind of reminds me when I went to the Grateful Dead concert. I was told I had a good time, but and I had no concept of time. I remember that because they're like, "Oh, he came in here yesterday." I'm like, "No, it's been a week." No, you came in here yesterday. Because I went out of the ICU into a different unit, and
Oh.
I had no concept of time. I remember Donna, my wife. For those that don't know, Donna, she was given. I didn't know this until later, much later. She was given these pamphlets, as they do, and some of it were funeral places, and some of it was like,
Oh, wow.
yeah, and some of it was like dealing with grief, yeah, that sort of thing. And they told her that I wasn't going to make it, that the chances of me making it were
Wow.
not good.
How many days after this accident was she told this? Do you know that?
Once they found her, because I was
So,
originally
but it
John,
took her
I
a
was
while to find you.
well, I was a John Doe at first. So when she found me, they're like, yeah, about him. Here's some pamphlets.
Oh, jeez.
And
Oh.
wasn't necessarily the worst thing because, like, they weren't wrong.
Once they got you there and got you opened up and stuff, it was an aneurysm in your
Okay, so let me.
pancreas. Your no.
Sort of, yes. I mean, part of my pancreas came out too. So there's a artery. There's an artery that goes through
Uh huh.
the spleen and the pancreas.
Oh,
Well, it
spleen. Yes. Right.
yeah, well, it ruptured. So the spleen was completely taken out. There's no way to save that at all. I mean, like it blew it out. And so
You had an exploding spleen.
my spleen decided that it was in protest. It's leaving in protest.
Just
And
wow.
so what happened was there's 5 operations for this, but they had to take more and more and more of my pancreas out. But they really didn't want to
Wow.
take out all of it because like it produces insulin.
Then you'd be diabetic.
Well, I am
Yeah.
diabetic now. Um, as a result,
Oh, so it took out a. Will it heal
it
at all, or you're just?
no, I'm diabetic for the rest of my life. But
Oh,
I'm alive, so
that
I'm
sucks.
I'm I'm, I'm
But at
fine
least you're
with it.
here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
Yeah.
It that was an adjustment.
I imagine.
Yeah, a third
I
of my
mean,
spleen.
especially since you've been a pretty healthy guy
Well, I ran marathons and
until this.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, like I was pretty. How do I say this? I was very particular about my health. Um,
Mhm.
I was very much into fitness and all that. And they said that that's one of the
And
reasons
very
why.
active in your comedy.
I mean, I'm a physical comedian. Yeah. So, um, and I'm back to being a physical comedian. So there's that.
Yay.
I kind of had to alter it when I first started. I started up last year doing comedy, and then I realized, yeah, I don't have the stamina. So what I did was I was smart enough to go like, I'm gonna stop and just not do any more shows. And I'll come back to it when I'm a little bit more healed. But see, keep in mind, with me, everything's a goal. I set ridiculous
Mhm.
goals. I actually am very much driven by um, meeting a goal by a certain time and certain and that do you know that about me?
Well, considering that we decided to do this interview like this morning because yesterday we realized it was your death day. Yeah, I think I'm a little aware.
I get hyper focused on things. Um, I am a wee bit obsessed I mean like I actually have I will tell you this. I have a 3 year goal, a 1 year goal. I had a 1 year goal, which became a 2 year goal because I realized, oh, my body heals at the rate that it damn well wants. Okay, if it's gonna do
Yeah.
what damn well
You
why it
can't rush
likes,
that.
yeah. And so my
Yeah.
1 year goal became a 2 year goal. My 2 year goal became a 3 year goal. My 5 year goal became a 5 year goal. Went from having a Super Bowl commercial to dying within 3 months or 4 months, whatever it was, like the time was. And so I'm like,
And did
you
they
know what?
ever air that Super Bowl commercial?
They did, yeah. Well, I was there with a bunch of friends, and we were going like, huh, when is it coming on? When is it coming on? When is it coming on? And it came on, and they were like, ah, fantastic, fantastic. And then a couple months later, I mean, like, okay, half a year later, let's be fair. Half a year later, this happened, and I was going like, okay, one extreme to the other. And,
Well, I hear there's good residuals on those Super Bowl commercials because those are nationwide. So let's
well, I bought a car out of it.
good for you.
I did actually. I bought an Audi.
Nice. Your replacement?
Yeah, my replacement car to the one that crashed. Yeah, I bought an Audi S4.
Nice.
But you know what
Sweet.
the reason behind that was yeah, it's a luxury car and all that, and I've never really done that. I've done like Mazdas, and that's the car I crashed.
Hmm.
Um, but I was like, if I'm going to tour, there's a really practical
Hmm.
reason. If I want to tour, I want something I'm comfortable in. I
Right.
want something that won't wear out my body. And that was a real,
Well, yeah, especially
a
now. You're
genuine
healing.
consideration. It was a genuine consideration. And then I didn't realize I bought an A4. I bought an S4, and I'm going like, what? I bought that? I didn't know at the time. And then people sold it as an A4, and I'm like, okay, you guys gave me the deal of a lifetime. Um, but I I named the car Hans Gruber, and anyone that's a movie
Nice.
fan like I am knows Hans Gruber is the evil villain in Die Hard.
That Christmas movie.
Hmm. And it actually is a Christmas movie. I'm gonna say emphatically, it's a Christmas movie. It's an action movie, but it's a Christmas movie. It took place at Christmas, therefore.
Absolutely.
Oh, you know
Yeah,
how
it
fanatic
plays
I
out
am
with
about that.
Christmas music.
Well, it does. I can't say the words because you'll have to pay royalties.
Yeah.
The weather
I can't
outside
afford
is
that shit.
something. Yeah, but something is something is something. And anyway, so it really looks like I have a tummy, doesn't it? Anyway,
Yeah, well, you do have like some weird scarring and stuff going on. We're not gonna like freak out the audience, but
well, I can show
you
you want.
freaked me out with it, and it's yeah,
Uh,
freaked me out with
I
it at one point, and it's pretty wicked.
oh, it's this long. It's literally like over a foot long.
Yeah, he's
Uh,
he's showing with his fingers for the listeners. It's like a foot long, and it's
and
gnarly.
and I also have this. I have no pulse on this arm. Um,
Really?
yeah, I have a pulse on this arm, the left one, but not on the right one. And the reason for that is that artery that goes through here, this vein that goes through here, the vein that goes through here.
Uh
What
huh.
happened was it collapsed. Um,
Wow.
yeah, they had so many IVs and stuff in me. Not to get into too much detail, that what ended up happening
Mhm.
was it ended up failing. So they
Mhm.
were like putting stuff in my feet, for
Ugh.
example, because they needed to find a vein that worked. Um,
Mhm.
s but yeah, there's things I don't talk about.
That's intense. Yeah, my scariest operations were two babyectomies.
Well,
Yeah.
the
Yeah, much more joyful. I assure you.
well, I'll tell you this. This is true story. This is a true story, and this is going to show my age. But I remember they're going to take me over to physical therapy because I couldn't walk at the time. Um, so they put me in a wheelchair, and they kind of like
Uh huh.
literally put me in a wheelchair. And I turned to one of the orderly people and I said to them, "How come I feel like solving a crime?" He had no idea what I was talking about. It turns out Ironside is not well known amongst the young, which is a shit of those guys. And
No, no. I
anyway,
would. I want to bring you back around to what is next on your agenda.
Fashion model.
Oh, well,
I
that
am
should be
actually
interesting.
no. I'm seriously seriously. So there's a company called Casually Uncommon, and they actually are having a runway model show where they're going to have their um, stuff. So I'm going to be a runway model. That's my next thing. Um,
Interesting.
and
That'll
then
be fun.
yeah, it's going to be fun, and I know the designers. The Casually Uncommon had garb, their goods, their clothes on the Grammy runway. So
Really?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Not me. I mean, God, I can't sing, but they did, and so being associated with them is fantastic. And post death, if you think about it, like what do I have really to lose? Like, so I want to do things that are different, that you wouldn't necessarily associate me with, that I wouldn't necessarily be uh, the first name you would think of. And
You mean like
so,
random podcast?
like random podcasts, that's one. That works. And and I just signed on to do a movie. And I can't really say much about it except that I play a really sadistic serial killer type that is pure evil. And
Really?
so, oh, oh, I don't want to be in his head for long. Yeah, that's the thing.
That'll be something different.
Well,
So like that weird one that Robin Williams did with the photography guy. Can't
oh,
remember.
oh, I
Scary like
am
that?
worse. I mean, like, but better. I mean,
Oh,
like,
jeez.
let me put it
Yeah.
this way. For people in the audience that don't know, what I'm best known for um, is dying in horror movies. And so I've done that, I don't know how many times. That, and there's an India movie called Doctor by Heart, and I'm really well known for that in certain communities. People have no clue who I am, except that when I'm in like areas like Fremont or what have you, and this is a true story. I was in the market, supermarket, and people were coming up to me and were like, "You were in Doctor by Heart." Well, if you're not Asian Indian, you have no clue what that movie is. But if you're Asian Indian, you know what that movie is. And it's the strangest thing
Huh.
because, like, I've done other movies where they go like, or movies or commercials or what have you, where they go like, "You're this guy," and it's like, no, I've only been recognized for that movie by a certain demographic, and that's fine. I find it fascinating, actually. I find it fascinating because for
It's
the
very
major,
niche.
very much, yeah, yeah. And I got that one by accident, but that's another story.
So you've done a lot of dying in horror films, but this time you get to kill people?
I get to kill people, and it's not exactly a horror movie. It's what I can't really say much about it except that
Like a thriller?
it's a thriller. Yeah,
Or
yeah.
yeah, okay. So
And
more
I play
suspense than.
it's suspense. Yeah, it's not necessarily a horror movie. And the movie I just finished is a monster truck movie. Yeah,
And do you
so
know
I
when
did
that one comes out?
20 well next year.
Next year.
And the great director Maury Povich. I'm just kidding, kidding. No, the great director. I'm showing my age um, on that reference. I'm showing my age. No, Michael Gilkison, who I have done several movies with and some TV show pilots and such. He thought of me as like the president of the league in this movie. So no, I'm not driving monster trucks. I'm a little bit too old for that. Um,
Well, you're a little on the short side for climbing up into them too, aren't you?
oh, I'm way too short to. That's like a. So okay, so my comedy partner Reggie Shorter. He's a good foot taller than I am. And so I thought shorter corn. Ha! That would be a great name for our act. And so that's what we became known as. And I'm like, I'm not a big guy. I'm not at all. So that
I think
became
you and
kind
I are about the same height. And
pretty close, pretty close. Yeah, I'm a bit on the slight side. Let's just put it that way. What I don't understand is how. Okay, so I entered into high school. I entered into high school, and I'm 5 foot, and I know I'm 99 pounds. You know how I know? Because I just bought a digital scale, and the digital scale would say 99, and I step on it and say 99. I'm like, oh, I want to be 100. Step on it again, 99. And so what I did was I put rocks in my pocket and it said 95, and I'm going, come on. So I got myself soaking wet, stepped on it and said 96, and I'm like, you're just messing with me now at this point. I'm making that up as I go, but it sort of happened.
so did you ever grow any more since high school?
Yeah, a little bit. When I met Donna, I mean my wife, she was taller than me, and she goes like, "I don't go out with short guys," and go like, "Small things come in, or
Aw.
yeah, good things come in small packages." And I thought, that was a great come on. Almost, the best come on line is, if Van Gogh had a girl like you, he'd still have both his ears. That would be a great come on line,
Oh.
but I didn't think of it at the time. But I
Oh, I'm going to interrupt you there because I have to break in with a fun fact. Van Gogh didn't cut off his own ear.
it was a karate fight, is what
It
happened.
was a cover up. It was a cover up. It was Gauguin.
You know,
He got in a fight with Gauguin and he cut off his ear and then he made up a cover story so that he could still get his art shown by Van Gogh's brother in the city. Look it up.
you know,
It's crazy.
no, true story. Did you know that? And this is random, but did you know that Sears Roebuck? Nah, I sound old. Did you know that Sears sold cars through the catalog? I'm not. Look it up. It's true. Not related to Allstate Insurance.
Did you have to assemble it at home? Did it come in a kit?
Wouldn't that be something? They did that with houses, though.
Like the
But
IKEA?
yeah, no, like seriously, you could order houses on the Sears Roebuck catalog, and then you'd have to assemble it. But it came with the walls and everything.
Jeez.
But we're talking 1890s, 1900s, that sort of thing. I actually have. Can I? I have a Sears Roebuck catalog right over there hang on, from 1900, and I can show you.
Wow. It sounds like you've got a bunch of projects going. Wow. Have you got another comedy tour lined up lately?
Well, I just finished the one that I was on, and that was basically proof of concept because I wanted to prove that a dead man can go walking and talking and do his thing. And I ended up actually doing shows in California and Nevada. I want to keep it kind of local. I didn't want to go that far out. People that know me in the past know I was all over the western U.S. What I really wanted to do is test my body. No 2 shows a night. It was 1 show a night. And no going into Washington or Utah, or I wanted to see how well I traveled. And I did all of
In
it
your new car.
in my Audi, yeah. So I did that, and I went and I wanted to just push my body to what I thought was the limit. Turns out it wasn't the limit. I could do much more, which is good news. Which means that there's going to be more comedy in my future.
So you don't
Furthest
have
out,
anything lined up yet, but you're making plans.
well, I'm filming a movie, so I didn't want to necessarily
Right.
obligate until after I'm done with the movie. But I will tell you this: the next show I have is in Campbell, California, in my hometown, within walking distance, and this is one of the reasons why I took it. It's in walking distance. And Tut is the producer on that. It's on Halloween.
Sweet.
I took it because I found a parking space. I can stay and I can just walk. Uh,
Nice.
but also I like Ted.
So your
Ted's a
next
nice
one
guy.
is Halloween?
Halloween, yeah.
And does it have a name yet?
Well, it's on Hamilton Avenue. I don't know what the name of the show is. I can get that to you. That's fine. And I would, but
All
I'm
right.
on with you right now, so I can't really look at it.
Well, you
I'd
just
look
send
really
that to me. I'll make
irresponsible.
sure
Like,
we'll get it out there.
I met Tut actually. I was filling in for someone that had COVID, so I ended up doing a comedy show as a host. And it's the first time I had hosted since
Oh,
I
nice.
died, and so I wanted to prove to myself, if not anyone else, that I could do it. So the whole night I was doing like physical comedy. And keep in mind, I'm in my mid 50s, so like me being able to do physical comedy regardless of my condition, that's something. Like, middle-aged guy, right? But
Right.
uh, you know, uh, and I'll
But to
tell you
come back
this.
from near death and do it again,
Well,
it's
because
impressive.
that was another goal of mine. Like, I was hell bent on it. And you got to understand, I'm a big fan of like Charlie Chaplin, John Ritter, Buster Keaton, Debbie Gibson. Oh, sorry, the last one's not applicable. But I'm a big fan of all these comedic geniuses that do physical comedy, and I'm going to be doing it as long as I possibly can. And when I can't, I'm already working on life after that because I realize that mid 50s, you're probably talking about not much life left in physical comedy. But I've worked it into several movies I've been in,
That's great.
and maybe I do that again.
Well, we are
It's
looking forward to all of it, all these movies coming up, and I'm glad to have you on here again. I'm glad that you're alive and with us. You're moving a little faster now.
well, I'm moving faster than you once did. you
They
know,
don't have to push you around the hospital anymore.
no, you know what? So I have the cane right over there, and so I go like to Donna, my wife. I say, "Here's my impersonation of me," and I'll go like, and walk really slowly with the cane, and just this and that, and it's me making fun of me.
Before you know it, you'll be doing that bit that Gene Wilder did at the beginning of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Ooh, okay. I can do references.
All right, Johnny, until next time. This is a one woman show. You can show your support by liking and subscribing. Even better, contribute by visiting buymeacoffee.com/ESP Phoenix. To get a super cool original piece of artwork, please visit my Etsy site, esperanzapaints.com. Check out the super cool hand-sculpted mushroom ornaments too. Thanks again for taking the time to watch. And until next time, take care of yourself and the ones you love.